Shalom, shalom, Israel. I want to give all honor and glory and praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, right? In this video, I'm beginning to how do we know that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, Latinos, Mexican, are the Hebrew Israelites, right? I'm going to start off with the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. I'm going to start at verse 1. Because this is what the Most High God said would happen, right? Because he said before us blessings and curses, right? So Deuteronomy 28:1, he said, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Slakia. So this is Moses talking to the Israelites. And he said that the Most High God said that we hearken and we listen unto the voice of the Lord our God and observe and do all his commandments, these laws, statutes, commandments, that he will set us on high above all nations upon the face of the earth, right? Above all. But we didn't do that, right? Our ancestors, committed sin, right? They broke the law, statutes, commandments, right? So let's get verse 15. And it reads, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right, so he said, if you don't listen, all these curses are going to come upon you. And we all know that a curse is not a good thing, right? A curse is something bad, right? So let me get the book, same book. Let me get verse 40. Let me see. 46. And he said, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So these curses that he placed upon us Israelites, he said they'll be for a sign and a wonder, and upon, our seed, which is children, forever. And we know what a sign is, right? When you go outside and you see a stop sign, you know to stop. Why? Because you see the sign that's set before you. So these curses are on the Israelites as a sign as well, right? So when we read these curses, you're going to be able to identify, what is being said in the curses, right? And it said also, it'll be for a wonder, right? Because once you find out, once you read these curses, you're going to start to wonder, and it's going to start to hit you, and you're going to understand that it's talking about you. Right? So I'm going to go back to verse 16. And it reads, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Right? And who's cursed in the cities? Right? The Israelites are cursed in the cities. They live in the ghettos, right? They live in the lowest estate, right? They getting shot down in the streets, right? They're getting killed by these cops, right? They're killing one another, right? And all these are curses that's been placed on us, right? Cursed in the city, right? It says, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Who was in the slave fields, right? The so-called blacks and the so-called Native Indians, right? We were cursed in the fields, right? Our people were in the fields picking cotton, right? Tobacco and things like that. So we were cursed in the city, and we're still cursed in the city, and we were cursed in the field, right? Working from sun up to sundown for free, right? Let me get verse 30. Let me get 28. No matter of fact, verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and thou shalt be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. So the Most High God said we're going to be smitten before our enemies, which we see every day. When you go on your phone and social media, who do you see getting shot down, smitten before their enemies, getting killed by these white men, right? Who do you see these terrorists, white people, killing when they go and commit these mass murders, right? Shooting up the churches. Can't even go to Walmart without it getting shot up. Who are they targeting? They're targeting the Israelites. And that's a curse that the Most High God said will happen. We'll be smitten before our enemies, right? And he said, thou shalt be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. And we know that the Most High God have placed us in throughout the 4 corners of the earth. So Israelites are everywhere. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, right? The Mexicans. We're not talking, when I say Hispanic, I'm not talking about Spaniards, right? Because those are Edomites, right? Talking about those of indigenous blood, right? Let me get a verse 27. The Lord will smite thee. No, not Shalakia. Verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Right? And our people are smitten with madness. Right? When you go out and you see our people in the streets, right? Killing one another, right? That's smitten with madness. Right? And blindness. Why? Because they don't know who they are. Right? Just like before we came into this truth, a lot of us, we didn't know who we were. We were blind, right? When you ask an Israelite, you ask an Israelite, what's your nationality? When you ask a so-called black or Mexican, native, what's their nationality? They don't know. They say, I'm black, I'm Mexican, I'm Guatemalan, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm this and that. But those are bywords that were placed on us by the Edomites. And it's also a curse because the Most High God said that will happen. Right? It says, verse 29, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as a blind man gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Right? So he said, you're going to grope in the noonday, like a blind man that gropeth in the darkness. Right? You don't know what's going on. You don't know which way to go. He said, you ain't going to prosper in none of your ways. You try to start a business, it ain't going to happen. Whatever you try to do, you're not going to prosper in it. Why? Because we fail to obey these laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High God. Right? He said, thou shalt be only oppressed, Salakia. Thou shalt be only oppressed, Salakia. And he said, thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. Right? And we know that we're the only people getting oppressed throughout the whole world. Wherever you go, you're going to see Israelites getting oppressed, always in the bottom of society. Right? But you have these damn heathens coming from their countries, can't even speak English, and they come here and they prosper. As soon as they get here, they have a business opened up, brand new gas station, 7-Elevens, liquor stores, right? These people come here and they prosper. But why? Because the Most High God said that would happen because we disobeyed him. Like we just read in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. If we would have obeyed, we would have been set above all. But since we didn't, we're in the bottom and getting oppressed. And he said, and no man shall save thee. Ain't nobody going to come and redeem us out of these curses. Right? Verse 30. He says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Right? And in slavery, there are our ancestors, right? They would betroth a wife, right? Engaged to have a wife, or some were even married. And another man lied with her, right? Slept with their wives, right? They raped their wives in front of them, right? It says, thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein, right? Our people build up America, right? And even to this very day, who's building all the houses? Our people. And do we dwell in them? No, we're not. We're building these houses for the heathens, so they can make a profit off of it. And meanwhile, paying our people crumbs to build them these apartment buildings, these houses, so that these heathens can prosper. He says, thou shalt plant a vineyard and shall not gather the grapes thereof, right? When you going up north through the grapevine, who do you see out there in the vineyards and the fields? You see our people, the so-called Mexicans, right? In the vineyard working up from early in the morning till the sun goes down for pennies, right? For nothing. They planted these vineyards so that a heathen can prosper, right? We plant them, but we don't gather the grapes thereof, right? We plant and we gather the grapes, but to give it to the Edomites so that they can make a profit, right? So this is modern day slavery, right? Verse 31. Thy ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them, right? If you go on Google, right? Matter of fact, let me get it real quick because I'm gonna show you what these Edomites did to our brothers and sisters, to our native brothers and sisters, right? They killed all their buffalo, millions of them, so that our people had no food resources and they had to depend on these damn Edomites, right? Slovakia. You see this? These damn Edomites killed all these buffaloes, right? So that our ancestors had no more food resources. They killed them for no reason, just so that our people couldn't eat, right? It shows you how wicked these Edomites are, right? Proud devils, right? They took everything from our people, right? But the Most High God said this will happen for us not obeying him, right? Verse 32, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with the longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand, right? And when we're in slavery, right, our people, sons and daughters were given into another people. They will sell the father to one slave master, the mother to another, and separate the children from the parents and sell them to other slave masters. And there was nothing that the mom and dad can do, right? It says, there should be no might in thy hand, right? Which I just said, there would be nothing that we can do when these things happen, right? Verse 33, the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, right? So the fruit of the land, right, these heathens have eaten up. They took all our resources, right? From all the labor that we put in to grow fruit on these lands and grow our foods, they took everything. They ate it up, and they still eating it up, right? Our brothers and sisters are out there in the vineyards. When you go up north through the grapevine, who's eating it up? These Edomites, right? Because we're being only oppressed, right? For breaking the Most High God's law, statute, commandments, we're being punished for the sins of our ancestors, right? So it's up to us to turn these curses and come back to the Most High God and obey these law, statute, commandments, right? Verse 34, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see, right? So the things that we see, it gets us mad, but there's nothing we can do because these are curses placed on us. So the only thing there is to do is come back to these law, statute, commandments and obey the Most High God and know that he is the one and only true God and none else, right? Let me get verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee And thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Right? So the Most High God said, you know, um where we're at in this captivity, we're going to be worshiping wood and stone. Right? He said, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, there thou shalt serve wood and stone. So in the place of our captivity, we're here and our people are worshiping what? Christianity, that's wood. Muslims worshiping cobblestones, right? Our people worshiping Virgin Mary. We're worshiping idols that are meaningless and that are not real, right? But the Most High God said this will happen, right? Verse 37, and thou shalt be an astonishment and a proverb and a byword among all nations, right? Because people are astonished when they see us and they say, man, these people don't even know who they are, because they know who we are. They know we're the Jews. But it's an astonishment because they see us that we still calling ourselves black, Mexican, Latino, native. But these ain't the words that the Most High put on us, you know? He said a proverb, right? And a byword, which is what? Calling yourself black, that's a byword. Calling yourself Afro-American, that's a byword. Calling yourself Mexican, that's a byword. Calling yourself Puerto Rican, that's a byword. Jamaican, right? Haitian, these are all bywords, right? Among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee, right? Let me get verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low, right? So these heathens that are here with us and that are coming from other states and countries that can't even speak the language here of this land, you know, these Edomites, right? They come here and they get above us very high. These Edomites are above us very high. These Ethiopians very high above us, right? These Africans come here, they get above us very high. The Chinese and the Japanese and the Koreans, they come here and they get above us very high, right? The Arabs come here, they get above us very high. These dot-head Indians come here, they get above us very high, right? They have businesses, they prosper. But he said, and we shall come down very low. So these people are going to be above us, and we're going to have to depend on these people just to eat and drink and things like that, because we disobeyed the Most High God, right? In verse 44, he says, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him, right? He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail, right? We not lending to no one. They lend to us. When you need some money, you got to go get a loan from the bank. Who owns that bank? The heathens, these Edomites, these other nations, right? Whatever you need, you have to go to him for him to lend to us, right? Like if he's the head and we're the tail, like the Most High God just said. We have to depend on these Edomites and these heathens for everything, right? And even if some of our people do have their own businesses that they own, right? They still have to go to these heathens to do what? To get their merchandise, right? Whether it be clothing, whether it be food, they still have to go to someone above them to buy from them, right? Verse 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Right? So all these curses, he said they're going to come upon us and they're going to pursue us no matter where you go. You can move from this wicked place, Babylon, America, and go to another state. These curses are going to follow you, right? You could go live amongst the rich. These curses are going to follow you. No matter where you go, they're going to pursue you and they're going to overtake you until you be destroyed if you don't come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Verse 46, what we just read. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Right? So this is how you identify who the Israelites are, by going through these curses that are placed amongst the Israelites. If you go to the so-called, the so-called white man, right? The fake, the Jewish, the ones with the damn things on top of their heads and the long sideburns, right? And you read them these curses here, it doesn't match with them. You bring out these curses, you're gonna tell them, you could go up to a Jewish man and say, are you a Jew? He's gonna say, yeah. And tell him, okay, I'm gonna read a few curses, right? I want to see if you identify with these, because the Most High God said these are going to be a sign and a wonder for the true Jews, right? And once you start reading these curses, you're going to see that they don't add up with them. These people have never been oppressed. They own everything. They own the music industries, right? They own the movies. They own every damn thing you could think of, the banks, right? So these curses do not add up to these people. These people have not been oppressed, right? These people are the ones who are oppressing us, right? Verse 47, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. Right? So the Most High God sent these enemies against us because we didn't serve the Most High God with joyfulness and gladness of heart and abundance of all things. Right? When the Most High God brought our people out of Egypt, what was our people doing? Complaining. Instead of praising the Most High for bringing them out of captivity with gladness of heart. Praising and thanking the Most High for giving us manna when we have nothing to eat. For giving us water from the rock, right? For splitting the Red Sea, the miracles that he done for us, our people took that for granted, right? And this is why our people is going through what we're going through, right? So we have to serve our enemies, right? He said, therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, right? When you're hungry, where do you got to go get your food? Whether if it's a fast food restaurant or you going to the grocery market, you're getting it from your enemies, right? And like I said, even if our own people does own a fast food restaurant or a grocery store, right? They still have to buy their products from a heathen, someone above them, right? So we're serving our enemies in hunger and in thirst. When you're thirsty, you want some water, right? You want a soda, whatever you drink. You have to go to your enemies to buy that, because our people don't own none of these things, right? And if they do own it, they still have to go to the white man, right, to get permits and all that, right? He said, and nakedness, right? When you want clothing, right, you have to go to the enemy to get clothing to put on your back, right? And even if our people do, like I said, own clothing stores, they still have to go get the material from an Edomite or another nation that's placed above us. Our people don't own these fabrics, right? It says, and in one of all things, driver license, right? Marriage license, whatever it is you want. If you want to travel to another state, country, you got to get a passport. You got to go to the white man. It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? And when you look at the history, who had yokes of iron on their necks, right? So-called blacks and the Native Indians, right? Because the natives, right, the so-called Mexican, the Latinos, they went into slavery before us. They went into slavery before the so-called blacks on ships, right? When the king of Assyria came and took them captives, right? In the book of Second Esdras, right? This is all history, right? You got to be up on this. When you read the book of Second Esdras 13, verse 40 through 45, that gives you the history on that, right? The 10 tribes, which are the Native Indians, the so-called Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, right? And there's more, right? Because those are bywords placed on them, right? Until he have destroyed us, right? So now we're in modern day slavery to where we don't even have to have yokes of iron on our necks because we're destroyed as a nation. We don't know who we are. We go around saying that we're black and we're this and we're that, right? We thinking that we're different from each other, right? The so-called black thinking that the so-called Mexican is a different person, but we're all brothers and sisters. We're all the same people, the 12 tribe of Israel, right? We're all the same people, but they have made us think that we're different so that we can fight amongst each other and kill each other, right? It says, verse 49, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So the Most High God said he's going to bring a nation, against us from far, right? When the conquistadors, the Spaniards came, where they come from? They came from far. And they came over here and conquered, the so-called Mexicans, the natives. They took them to Spain, right? And they beat them, enslaved them, and forced them to speak Spanish. That's why you see our 10 tribe brothers and sisters speaking Spanish. That's not their native tongue. The native tongue is Hebrew, right? That's why he said, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, because our people, we didn't understand these people when they came over here and conquered us, right? We didn't understand Spanish. We spoke Hebrew, right? The so-called blacks, we didn't understand English. We spoke Hebrew, right? He said from one end of the earth. They came from the other end of the earth to come conquer over here and take our brothers and sisters into slavery. He said, as swift as the eagle flieth. All right, what's the symbol of America? It's an eagle, right? All these nations, they have the eagle as their symbol. And that's the eagle it's talking about. These are the nations that it's talking about. These are signs that the Most High gave us so that we can understand what's going on, right? Verse 50, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. So these people, when they came and conquered, they didn't care, right? If you're an old person or if you were very young. They came to take you into captivity. Man, that's what they did to us, right? Verse 51, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, right? They took all of our cattle. They took all our fruit. They took all our corn, everything, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee, which is exactly what he did, right? Let me get verse 54. It reads, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, right? Because back then, our people used to be very tender amongst each other, delicate, right? Caring for one another, Shalom, bro. Shalom, Ak. You good? You need anything? But now it's not like that. When you walking up and down the street, what happens? You see another brother, so-called black or Mexican, Latino, what happens? You guys mad dogging each other, right? And I know because before I came into the truth, I was the same way. I see another brother, I'm already scoping him out from way down the street. What he wearing? Where he's from. And that's a curse that's placed on us, right? Mad dogging your brothers, saying, what's up, where you from? I don't know you, what you doing on this side? That's all curses, right? We have an evil eye towards our own people because the Most High God said this was going to happen. He put this curse upon us. He said, and towards the wife of his bosom, right? Domestic violence, right? The men beating their wives, being evil towards their wives, right? Instead of loving them and caring for them, right? And guiding them the right way. It says, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, right? Single parent households. The man taking off, leaving the children with the mom. Whether it be due to jail, the father gets killed, or he just decides to leave, right? Let me get verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which will not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her bosom. So like it, and towards her son and towards her daughter, right? So the women were so tender and delicate that they wouldn't even put their foot on the dirty ground, right? But he says, now her eye is going to be evil towards her husband, right? The woman wanted to be the man, cursing the man out, telling him he ain't nothing, right? Kicking him out. She wants to be the head, right? It says, and towards her son and towards her daughter, right? The mom's kicking the sons out, the daughters out, arguing and fighting amongst her children, right? These are all curses placed upon us, right? Let me get verse 58. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear the glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, right? Because we're supposed to fear the Most High God in his name, but our people don't do that, right? They rather fear men, right? They rather worship and fear these false idols that they're worshiping. But there's only one true God, right? Verse 59, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and thy plagues of thy seed, even great plagues and long countenance, and sore sickness and long countenance, right? So because we didn't fear the Most High God, and we don't do that, the Most High God had plagued our people with diseases, diabetes, right? All manner of diseases that our people have because, and sickness, right? Because they want to continue to break the Most High God's law, statutes, and commandments, right? That's why we have to come back so that the Most High God can heal our people. And we have to obey the Most High God and follow these law, statutes, and commandments, right? Let me get verse 63. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, right? Because it rejoiced the Most High God to bring us out of Egypt, right? Out of that captivity from the Egyptians, right? The Hamites, the Africans, and to multiply us. Because when we went into Egypt, we were a small number and we came out mighty and great, right? The Lord did that and he rejoiced over that. But he says, since we broke his law, statute, commandment, he's going to rejoice to destroy us. He's going to rejoice when these curses are overtaking us and destroying us, right? When we're being only oppressed and not prospering our ways. The Most High is glad in that because we did not listen and hearken to the Most High God, right? He said, and bring you to naught, right? Bring you down to nothing, right? He made us to be the greatest people on the earth. But since we transgressed his laws and went against the Most High God, he brought us to nothing, right? He says, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it, right? Because we're supposed to be in Jerusalem. We got taken off our own land, and who's over there now? These damn Edomites, right? Verse 64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other, and thou shalt serve, and there thou shalt serve other gods, right? The Most High God has scattered us throughout all the earth. Wherever you go, you're going to see a so-called, native, Mexican, Latino, or so-called black, right? Because we've been scattered. And where we're scattered, he said, there you shall serve other gods, right? You have our people into Islam, right? Want to be Muslims, into Catholicism, Christianity, all these vain and man-made up religions, right? It said, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, because our ancestors didn't know nothing about that. Even a lot of our people don't even know about that, but they get into it and they worship it. It says even wood and stone, right? Christianity, right? That cross, when you go to church and you see that cross with that white Jesus, that's sin. That's idolatry, because Yahweh is a so-called black man. When you read the book of Revelation, the first chapter, right? He said wood and stone. People worshiping these damn cobblestones, right? That's going off. Let me get a verse 68. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, right? And it says the Lord will bring you into Egypt again. It's not talking about actual Egypt. Why? Because we never went back into Egypt in its captivity. We didn't go back into Egypt as slaves, right? And from Jerusalem, you can walk to Egypt. So we know he ain't talking about he's going to take you back to actual Egypt with ships, right? We read the book of Exodus, chapter 20, and verse 2. And it reads, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, right? So Egypt means bondage, which means slavery, right? So when you go back to Deuteronomy, '28 and verse 68, he said, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and the Lord shall bring thee into slavery again with ships, right? How do we get to the Americas? We came here on slave ships, transatlantic slave trade, 1619. He said, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondman and bondwoman, right? Slave man and slave woman. And no man shall buy you. No man shall redeem you. Why? We're still here in America. Modern day slavery, right? We're still here. He said, here we're going to be sold to our enemies. We were sold to who? The Edomite, the white, so-called white man. He's our enemy, right? You read the book of, let me see if I got it, Baruch. I believe it's chapter 4. Salakia. You get the book of, let me see if I got it here. Book of Baruch. In chapter 4, I believe. Salakia. Or is it 3? Let me see. Salakia. Well, yeah, Baruch 3 and 8. And it reads, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. So this very day, we're still in our captivity. Just because you ain't got the yokes of iron on our necks is because we're already destroyed, as we read in the curses. Our people are lost. As a nation, we don't know who we are. He says, where thou hast scattered us. So where we're scattered at, we're still in captivity. For a reproach and a curse, right? The curses we just read. And to be subject to payments, right? Are we not subject to payments? Every time you go work and you get paid, you have payments. You have to pay. You have to pay up. So it's like you working for free, right? As soon as you get that check, you got to pay rent. Money gone. You got to pay your car note. Money gone. So all this money you're making is going right back to the white man. He's pretty much getting like free labor. Yeah, you might feel like you're prospering, but you ain't. You just working to survive, to eat, pretty much. It says, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, right? According to all the sins that our fathers did, we have to pay for that. Which departed from the Lord our God, because they departed from the Most High God and his law, statute, commandments. So that's why we have to turn around and obey the law, statute, commandments. That way the Most High will lift these curses off of us, right? But Lord willing, this video was edifying. To the next video, Shalom.